Greetings, sailors, and welcome to a replay of mine in the Emerald, because reasons which I will possibly explain. But first off, I wanted to just apologise for quite how patchy videos have been recently, because, well, not to put too fine a point on it, I've just been feeling kind of crummy recently. If you're new to the channel, you may or may not possibly be aware, but I suffer from depression, which sometimes makes for some fun times, and I'm also an Aspie on top of that, which is not. It's not infrequent that the two are found together. Comorbid is the specific term there, but yeah. So I don't know. I've been feeling a bit crummy, and it's kind of hard to, you know, get excited and creative and make videos when you're feeling crummy. So. Yeah, I really can only apologise and hope that people understand, because it sucks, depression, and sometimes it just likes to come up out of nowhere and just kick you around a bit. Although in this case, I don't think it really was coming up out of nowhere. I mean, if you have been paying attention at all, you'll know that my uncle died quite recently, and so that's possibly been one of the contributing factors, shall we say, one of the precipitating things for this particular little bout of bad weather. So the reason why the Emerald, well, I mean, I might as well explain. Why not? The Leander was one of the ships I got from the Bismarck campaign, and I've actually now gotten as far as the Edinburgh, but I never played any of the lower tiers. And the reason why I went back and used free XP to unlock all those lower tiers and bought the Emerald in particular is because I'm actually, fan's the wrong word, but I have a moderate interest in the sister ship of the Emerald, because it was a class of two. There was the Emerald, and then there was HMS Enterprise. And you can possibly guess why long before I had heard of World of Warships, or long before World of Warships even existed, I might have heard of a ship called HMS Enterprise. Now, of course, not nearly as famous as its American cousin, but still, the two E-class cruisers were not bad ships for their day. And it's not a great ship in World of Warships, but if you get this matchmaking, it's actually not half bad. Now, the guns aren't great. It is incredibly squashy. The range is kind of poo. It takes so much damage. I mean, I've already said it's squashy, but you really can't emphasise enough quite how fragile the low-tier British cruisers are, and Emerald fits right in with that. You know, you can easily have games where you full health 1 second and then blown right out of the water the next second, and it wasn't a detonation, it was just somebody got several citadels, because the thing basically has no armour. It does, however, get smoke. This is the main trick of the Enterprise, and when you get matchmaking like this, on a map like this, where the lack of range doesn't matter so much, it's not too bad. And it's also going to help that my team is comparatively well matched with the other team. In playing this, I've had plenty of experience of being in Tier 7 games, or even Tier 6, and I think there was one particular Tier 5 game where it was completely one-sided, and in most Tier 5 cruisers you would struggle to do anything. But because it is so fragile, and because the range isn't that great, and it doesn't really get that kind of stealth bonus that you get with the later British cruisers, yeah, the Emerald really struggles. And you'll note here that, like, this is a perfect example of quite how mediocre these guns are. I mean, they're all single mounts. Interestingly, by the way, Enterprise, yes, it was Enterprise, got in, it's like 1936 or something. It had its front two guns replaced with a twin mount turret. So it would actually maybe do for a slightly different looking premium at some point, but it would be more of a giveaway ship, I suspect, than one you'd want to pay money for. But still, anyway. So yeah, the shells, though, are kind of the main thing that don't seem to be very good. Even a broadside Königsberg, also not known for its armour, at 10 kilometres, yeah, I was getting absolutely no luck with getting any kind of citadels at all. So you need really squashy targets to get citadels with these AP shells, even though it's British AP. it is quite lackluster. I've had several games where, particularly against Leanders, and they've had just enough angle where I was actually getting shatters and bounces on their broadside, but they'd had just enough angle for it to completely, you know, negate my shells. So yeah, it's not a good ship, it really isn't, but occasionally, if the circumstances allow you to be, it's okay, it's half decent. So that's a very dangerous little ship taken out, that kamikaze. I came out the smoke at just the right time, or rather my smoke dissipated at just the right time. And with the hydro, I was able to take him down, and as a bonus, I get to use the kamikaze smoke, which is a good thing because there's some torpedo bombers incoming. The AA on this ship is not very good. Most of the Tier 5 cruisers, the AA isn't very good. I think the Kirov is the only one where you could do a kind of AA build. But as I've got the smoke to work with, and as these are Tier 4 and Tier 5 carriers that cannot manual drop, they basically either have to just circle over my smoke, which gives my AA some time to do something, or else they have to go and find another target, which is what's been happening. So, yeah. So there's that Königsberg down, and that's me up to a whopping 36k damage, but it's going to be a bit better than that. This is my best damage game in this thing, and it's basically because I end up with these two carriers to feast on. And it takes me quite a long time to realise where I should be aiming on this Langley, all things considered, because I'm firing at the waterline. Okay, fair enough. But as a rough rule of thumb, if you want to hit the citadel of something, well, a carrier specifically, you basically have to go for the engine room. So you more or less want to aim under the funnels. And it was taking me a little time to realise that. Not that I'm going to get this kill, unfortunately, but I do get the majority of the damage. So I'm hammering away. There's another citadel. It really does need to be very squashy targets to get citadels with these guns. Like, you know, Tier 4 cruisers and carriers, basically. I've never had a citadel on another Tier 5 cruiser, although Emerald versus Emerald fight, you possibly would have the opportunity to get some citadels there. But yeah, considering it's British AP, you don't seem to get a lot of benefit out of it. And because it's those single mount guns, you've got to show quite a lot of broadside yourself to bring your maximum firepower to bear. So it's all round, it's not a good ship. I know it's got its fans, but the combination of the matchmaking and all the other factors make it just not good. I would much rather be in a Marblehead than this thing. And I actually did a Marblehead video not long ago where I demonstrated that it wasn't very good either. I have to say though, my most played Tier 5 cruiser at this point is, well, it's probably the Murmansk actually, but the Krasny Krim is probably the second most played, just because you can buff the range so ridiculously. 16.8 kilometers on a Tier 5 cruiser is stupidly good, and it's all because it has those 130mm guns. Of course, if you're firing at that range, the guns are going to take a very long time to actually get there, or the shells are rather. But you'd rather have the flexibility than this thing, which it's really only the smoke that saves it. In all other regards, you know, if it didn't have that smoke, you would struggle so badly to do anything, even when you have good matchmaking like this. So here come the dive bombers. This is all in the hands of RNG as to whether this hits or not. And he's taking his time actually lining them up. And bear in mind this is an auto drop because it's Tier 5, but it's an American dive bomb auto drop, and it's quite a nasty one actually. That's over 6,000 hit points gone. I do, however, get my revenge very shortly afterwards. I also, by reflex, used a repair, but I didn't get much back there, as you can see. And, you know, if I was going to buff really anything about this ship, it would either be the guns, or it would be giving it a stronger heal, in that you would be able to heal more damage done back, rather than the individual heals themselves giving more hit points back. Giving it I'm struggling to put this in a way that makes sense, but giving you more of an available pool of hit points to get back, rather than the individual heals giving you more hit points back. Is that better? I don't know. Anyway, so nearly 92k damage done. It was all right, but I got to feast on those carriers, and that made all the difference. And the kamikaze, you know, that could have... I had no inkling that they were nearby until I popped out the smoke, and there they were. So that could have gone badly wrong if I'd dropped my smoke a little bit later than that. Or else I had just... I don't even know, you know, gone the wrong way or whatever, or if they'd been a bit more cautious or... Anyway, so it worked out a bit, and I think you need a bit of luck to get a good game in this ship, but it certainly helps to have brains as well. If you're ever in a situation where it's you versus a bunch of enemies, you know, there's not much you can do except run away or try and hide, because it just has so little survivability, despite the heal. So, yeah, that's the Emerald. I made a remark, not even really a joke, just a remark on Twitter that, you know, depression can be like playing the Emerald in Tier 7 games over and over again, and your team always sucks. And then I said, as a follow-up, actually, no, I could have just said playing the Emerald, and everybody would have known what I meant. But much like life, you know, actually it isn't always like that. Sometimes you do get to be top tier, as it were. So if there's some kind of metaphor there, it's not a very good one. But anyway, it's something, I suppose. I'm struggling for a message for this with this video, but that's the best I can manage, really. So anyway, hopefully you found this entertaining and whatever else. If you have, you can leave any comments below. You can hit the like button. You can sub to my channel if you haven't already. And as always, stay tuned for more.